big new provincial contract for Alstom that will ensure continued work at the Thunder Bay plant. Good evening and thank you for joining us. It's some much needed good news for the struggling railcar facility.
The Ford government is investing nearly $500 million to upgrade older GO Transit coaches at the local plant. Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria was at Alstom with MPP Kevin Holland this morning to make the announcement. Jess Clement has the details.
Ontario's Minister of Transportation, Prabmeet Sarkaria, stopped by Alstom Wednesday morning to announce an investment expected to support hundreds of manufacturing jobs in northwestern Ontario. He was joined by Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland, Mayor Ken Boshkoff, and hundreds of Alstom workers.
Today, I'm proud to announce, on behalf of Premier Doug Ford, our government is investing nearly $500 million to upgrade 181 of GO Transit's bi-level coaches right here at the Alstom plant in Thunder Bay.
The GO Train refurbishing contract will follow Alstom's current project for GO Transit, with this one starting sometime in 2026. Alstom Vice President Jose Wele says is expected to support around 250 local jobs until 2031.
If you only have a little amount of cars, then you're not able to make that. But now that we've got that line of sight, and for our people, the great workers that have been working here in this plant, for them too, it gives them security, it gives them line of sight, it allows us to attract more talent if needed.
Holland says this new contract will also deliver significant economic benefits to the community.
There are high-quality, high-skilled jobs that will sustain the region's workforce and ensure that Alstom's Thunder Bay facility remains a hub of innovation and excellence in the rail industry. Projects like this are never one and done, and I look forward to continued collaboration between the province, MTO, and Alstom on future opportunities.
The refurbished bi-level coaches will be equipped with new seating, doors, flooring, walls, and ceilings, as well as upgraded washrooms, electrical outlets, and new HVAC control systems. Unifor Local 1075 President Justin Roberts says the announcement is a big win and allows workers to breathe a sigh of relief.
Without having anything officially on the books, our members do start to worry about the doors closing with the lack of work and contracts coming to an end. So having this contract come in is a nice reassurance that the doors are not going to close.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Thunder Bay Police are investigating a homicide that occurred last night at an apartment complex on the city's south side. Police were dispatched to McIver Court on Lincoln Street shortly before 10 o'clock. An adult male victim was found with life-threatening injuries. He was transported to hospital and later pronounced deceased. The major crimes and forensic identification units are involved in the ongoing investigation, and police remain in the area. No other information is being released at this time. This is Thunder Bay's first homicide of 2025.
Officials with Thunder Bay's Building Services Division say 2024 was one of the best years over the past few decades for building permits and the total value of the new construction permits issued.
More than $225 million was spent on new builds last year. Jonathan Wilson has the rundown of the largest projects that broke ground in 2024 and those to come this year.
One of the biggest construction projects started in Thunder Bay in 2024 was the new Hyatt House Hotel on Oliver Road. The 6-story building started going up in May. The construction permit issued by the city came with an estimated value of $31 million. The hotel is expected to open in the summer or fall of this year. The largest residential construction project started in the city last year was this 109-unit apartment complex on Golf Links Road, valued at $40 million. Meanwhile, a 72-unit apartment building is being constructed at the end of Fulton Boulevard, valued at $17 million. The 58-unit transitional housing complex on Junot Avenue made good progress this past year, and it's valued at $14 million. That project is being led by Ontario Aboriginal Housing Services, which is also behind the 2 new 12-unit apartment buildings on Huron Avenue, valued at $4.2 million. The new tennis dome broke ground in late 2024, but most of that $4.1 million construction permit will be carried out in 2025. One other big permit issued last year was for the $3.8 million expansion of the Riverside building on Balmoral Street to house the new NAPS headquarters. City building officials say the $225 million in total permit value was much higher than the recent 7-year average of $122 million between 2016 and 2022. Construction also continues on the $1.2 billion Thunder Bay Correctional Complex on Highway 61, which had its permit issued in 2023. City officials say 2025 could be a strong building year as well, with the proposed indoor turf facility finally slated for construction at a cost of around $42 million. The cardiovascular surgery unit expansion at the regional hospital is also expected to go ahead. The city has already received a permit application for that project with an estimated value of $44 million. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Canada's premiers, including Ontario's Doug Ford, met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Ottawa today to discuss how to handle the looming tariff threat from incoming U.S. President Donald Trump.
Trump has promised to impose sweeping tariffs on products from north of the border when he takes office next week. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the latest.
Premiers and the Prime Minister emerged from their meeting with something new.
We have a shared sense of purpose, a shared sense of understanding, and a commitment to stand together on a united path forward.
I heard you showed up with a hat.
Ontario's Premier says in the face of potential 25% tariffs from the U.S., that unity has never been more important.
To stand up and making sure that our voice is heard. And the retaliatory tariffs need to be hard.
But there is a crack in the united front. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who joined the meeting remotely, refused to sign the joint letter from premiers coming out of the meeting, saying Alberta will not agree to export tariffs on its oil and other products.
We have made it very clear that everything is on the table as potential responses.
Justin Trudeau isn't laying out what options premiers discussed, which are most likely to be used.
This is an attack or an approach that endangers all Canadians.
Despite their differences, premiers say this sort of meeting is productive.
Coming together not only to hash out and work through what those differences might be, but to understand where we can come together and what the process is over the next number of days.
With a potentially devastating economic blow days away, Doug Ford remains determined.
We're going to be united. We're Canadian. We're going to get this done.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. The Bank of Montreal will close the doors to its Scriber branch this summer, despite the fact that it's the only banking location between Nipigon and Marathon. Scriber Mayor Kevin Mullen says it's a huge blow to the community.
It's just devastating, really. It's a huge negative. The 34%, the demographics of the town, 34% of the population is elderly people, and we all know, even myself, we all know we're not that great on the computer.
The branch, which celebrated its 100th year in service in 2013, will shut its doors on July 25th. BMO officials say client accounts will be transferred to Thunder Bay. The bank has been the only one to service the area since the closure of the Tariffs Bay CIBC in 2019. Mullen says Scriber Council will explore every possible option for a solution.
We'll go to whatever length we have to try and keep it open, and if not, we'll find out what other options are out there. Like there's credit unions, there's other banks. I do believe that building does not belong to the Bank of Montreal, so that could work in our favor, I guess.
A sign posted on the front door says the bank will host an information session on February 12th with the branch manager and regional vice president to discuss the move with BMO clients.
A new initiative has been launched to bridge the gap for marginalized youth in Thunder Bay. It's called the QuU Youth Hub. It's not a location, but an organization created by the Northwest Black Collective. Organizers held an information session for QuU, which is the Swahili word for ours or home. The hub will support Black youth in the city impacted by the education and child welfare systems by providing them a sense of belonging in the community. It'll also offer access to alternative pathways for high school credits and to build life skills. Co-founder Kristen Calazar talks more about the challenges these youth face.
So when you feel like you don't even belong in your community and you can't access certain extracurriculars because there's a cost barrier, or even just those not feeling that there's visibility for other people who look like you in the community, that alienation can really impact how much you're able to actually carve out a space for yourself.
A lot of the Youth Hub too is going to be like hopefully bringing the community together, helping a lot of the youth get out and get involved in the community, and kind of bridging a lot of those gaps that there might be that a lot of people aren't noticing are gaps in our Thunder Bay area.
The project was made possible through support from the Laidlaw Foundation. More information can be found on the QuU Youth Hub Facebook page.
Thunder Bay's emergency shelters have been a crucial resource for the local homeless population this week. Temperatures dropped to minus 26 Celsius this morning, and it's expected to get even colder this weekend.
Grace Place had another full house this afternoon, and its extra shelter beds have been in high demand this winter. Brendan Miller has more.
Grace Place on Simpson Street is one of a small handful of centers in Thunder Bay that provides a safe, warm place for the homeless to stay overnight. Thanks to the additional funding it received from the DSAB in November, an extra 10 beds were added for overflow, now totaling 35. Operations Manager of Grace Place, Melody Maximchuk, explains just how impactful the extra funding and beds are in the community.
Well, it's been huge. Last month we had 665 stays here at the Out of the Cold program, and the Urban Abbey has been quite busy and quite full in accessing the shelter house overflow spaces. So if you can imagine, we'd have maybe 25, 30, maybe 35 people outside during this weather where we normally wouldn't have.
Besides the overnight beds, Grace Place has drop-in hours during the day from 1 to 4 p.m. During this time, people can grab some much-needed food, listen to live music, and find extra clothing to stay warm. Maximchuk also pointed out some other features and sense of community.
Well, we have a community meal here we serve 3 days a week, and we serve about 300 to 300 meals to the community here. So people can stay the whole time from 1 to 4. They can keep warm. They can access free clothing in our free store, and sometimes get a haircut depending on our hairdresser. And it gives a time for social time. They can eat as much as they want, and they can get ready to head over to the shelters once the shelters open up.
Grace Place is available 7 nights a week and begin their overnight intake at 9 p.m. They have 25 beds and 10 overflow spaces, giving up to 35 individuals a warm place to stay the night. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
Well, the snow that was promised sure showed up today. It was kind of on and off. But you know what? I don't mind it when it's light and fluffy like that.
Yeah, that's the nice light stuff that isn't really heavy when it comes to shoveling. And I know a lot of folks always hate to have to shovel outside. I actually don't mind it as long as the temperatures aren't too bad. And that's the positive side of this snow. As you can see, sweeping through the region pretty quickly throughout the day today. It's a fairly narrow band, and it is hitting Thunder Bay this afternoon and some more this evening. But with it came milder temperatures. Now, as you heard earlier in the newscast, we started out with a low of minus 26, wind chills of minus 29. But as the periods of snow moved in, we warmed up to minus 6, which is definitely above normal for this time of year. Wind chills minus 11, and very, very little wind to go with it. Calm and for much of the day, and then very light up to just 10 kilometers per hour in the last couple of hours. It's been coming in from the southwest. That's supporting those warmer temperatures moving in. Now across the region, it was equally cold. Wind chills minus 30 for most of the region, of course, with the exception of Sault Ste. Marie, where it has been holding pretty steady most of the day. But throughout the region, starting to really warm up beautifully, and you can see where the warmth is coming in from the west. Already Red Lake at minus 4, minus 5 in Kenora and Fort Francis. A little cooler as you head further east, but the trend is continuing. In fact, throughout the region, these are pretty close to the high for the day. Wind chills to the west around minus 10, minus 11. To the east, wind chills in Armstrong and Greenstone ranging from about minus 13 to minus 15, so not too bad. And in Sault Ste. Marie, where they had snow all day, it has just started to clear out in the last couple of hours, and they're mostly cloudy with wind chills of minus 11. But as you can see, the snow started to the west, moved through, and right now it's affecting Atikokan, Nipigon, Thunder Bay, and up into Armstrong, Greenstone, and Marathon a little bit. Maybe not a whole lot in the Marathon region just yet, but it is reaching that way. Then tonight here in the city, it's not really going to get any colder. In fact, temperatures are expected to hold steady at -6 overnight and into the early morning hours. There is going to be a little bit more snow, periods of snow popping in and out, and wind chills will drop down to -13, but the winds are also going to start to pick up. Now, the temperatures, as I said, on the rise with these systems, got warm air behind the snow, but we will get a little bit warmer tomorrow. However, it comes with a lot of wind. It's going to be gusty and blustery. So for the next couple of days, just think, if snow is coming, that's a good sign, because as soon as it dries out, it's going to get very cold for the weekend. All more details later on in the news hour.
Things sounded so good for a little bit there, Fiona.
Just for a
and
little
then you had to drop that on us. All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, a couple of major stories that we're tracking right now. When we return, we will have more on that meeting between the premiers and the Prime Minister, and a massive story coming out of the Middle East where a deal has been reached for a ceasefire in Gaza. We'll have the details right after the break.
We've been waiting for this happiness for a year and a half.